bruh moment. Hey guys, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite movies, and today I'm going to be doing an Oscars prediction video. I've never done an Oscar prediction video before because I thought it was a waste of time. But last year the Oscar nominees aren't really all that great, but this year, 2019 is a pretty great year for movies, so let's do a predictions video and predict some Oscars. I've been watching the Oscars since I think 2012, but this is the first time I'm making this video, so it's a new one, boys. Let's start off with the categories that I don't care for at all. We have short film, live action. The nominees are Brotherhood, Nefta Football Club, The Neighbor's Window, A Sister, and Saria. And I didn't watch any of them, and I'm gonna say it's The Neighbor's Window, judging by past wins and accolades. And for short animated film, it's going to be Hair Love. It's going to be Hair Love, I guess. But again, I didn't see any of those. And for short documentary features, I didn't see any of them. We got In the Absence, St. Louis Superman, Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone, Walk Around Cha Cha, and Life Overtakes Me. The documentary short Life Overtakes Me seems like a very heavy one, but again, judging by the accolades and the noise, I think it's going to be Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone. And for documentary feature, out of American Factory, For Sama, The Cave, Honeyland, and The Edge of Democracy, I think it's going to be American Factory. That's my pick. Either that or For Sama. Okay, now that's out of the way. Now let's talk about the categories that I care about. So, let's start off with sound mixing. We have Ad Astra, the boring Oscar bait movie. We got 1917, Ford vs. Ferrari, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Joker. I think the winner should be either Ford vs. Ferrari or 1917. Ad Astra, didn't watch it. The sound mixing of Hollywood and Joker aren't really all that great, but since the Oscars aren't really all that creative with their picks, so of course they're nominated for some reason. I'm going for Ford versus Ferrari, but I know that they will give it to 1917. They're gonna give as many awards to 1917 as possible, because usually for every single year there's gonna be a Best Picture winner, and then there's gonna be a movie that will not win Best Picture but will win a bunch of technical awards, like The Grand Budapest Hotel, that got a bunch of awards, or Mad Max Fury Road. They're those technical movies. And for sound editing, again, Joker and Hollywood aren't really that great at sound editing. Star Wars is pretty great, but as usual, Ford vs. Ferrari is great too, and 1917 is pretty great too, in my opinion. Again, I'm going for Ford vs. Ferrari, even though I think 1917 is great too. But here's the thing. I don't think they're going to give both sound awards to the same movie. So I think they're going to give one to 1917 and then another one for Ford vs. Ferrari. But, they can win either one because both of them are great. Alright. Now for the visual effects, it would be shite if they give it to The Irishman. The aging effect is impressive, but if they give it to The Irishman only because of that one de-aging effect, it's kind of, like, come on. 1917's visual effects are meh. There's a scene where George McKay jumps into the water, and that was not so good. I personally would pick Avengers Endgame, because if Black Panther can get a Best Picture nominee, can't Avengers Endgame, the Avengers Endgame, get visual effects? So I'm rooting for Avengers Endgame. For Best Production Design, we have The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Hollywood, and Parasite. All the production design in all these movies are okay at least, great at best. Of course, given that Parasite, Gi Sang-chung is my favorite movie of 2019, I am rooting for Parasite all the way. But I think they're gonna give it to 1917, and they deserve it too, because the sets, the designs, they are fantastic. The ruins are my favorite part of all the sets. I mean, they dug 3 separate trenches, right? And there are different barns and broken houses and stuff. So 1917, definitely they're gonna give it to them. And for Best Original Song, this is the category that I don't really care for this year. But I am rooting for Elton John, because Elton John winning an Oscar, that's cool. I would like to see that. But I think they're gonna give it to. Honestly, I don't know. Either Into the Unknown or the Elton John song. I'm a little excited for the performances though, because apparently a ton of different Elsa voice actors are gonna perform on stage in different languages, so that's pretty cool. Apparently Billie Eilish and Janelle Monáe have special performances too, because they need to boost up the views. But I'm rooting for Rocketman. For Best Original Score, we have Joker 1917, Little Woman, Star Wars and Marriage Story. John Williams is nominated again and will lose again. And of course, the winner is incredibly obvious. It is Hildur Guðnadóttir, Joker. It will be the first woman to win an Oscar for Best Original Score, which is fantastic, which is exciting, but also she won all the previous original score awards for Joker this year. SAG, BAFTA, I think, Golden Globes. So this is 100% giving to Hildur. For makeup and hairstyling, we got Judy 1917, Joker, Maleficent, and Bombshell. It's so funny because all of these movies here are Oscar movies, except for Maleficent, which is for kids. The makeup in Maleficent is pretty good, but if they give it to 1917, it would be hilarious, because the makeup in 1917 is not that great. If you've seen the last scene, the last few scenes of 1917, you know that the makeup doesn't really make much sense, and so I will probably say Bombshell. Bombshell would probably win it. And then for Best International Feature Film, it's not foreign feature now, because foreign can be used as a negative word, so hey, let's be positive, so it's international now. So we have a Polish film Corpus Christi, Honeyland from North Macedonia, France, Les Miserables, Pain and Glory, Spain, Pedro Almodóvar, and South Korea's Parasite. And again, 100%, given that Parasite is already in the nominees for Best Picture, it's 100% going to Parasite, no doubt, not one single bit of hesitation there. For editing, now I've seen this video on YouTube done by an editor called Thomas Flight, who analyzed every single nominee in this category, and I'm rooting for Parasite again, given that Parasite is my favorite movie of 19. It's Parasite, and you have to admit, the peach montage, so well edited, and it's edited in a way that none of the shots feel aimless. None of the shots feel unnecessary. Every single shot gives you a new idea and a new concept. It's awesome. I think The Irishman's editing is really good as well, especially when it comes to giving off comedic moments. But yeah, Ford versus Ferrari's editing is pretty good as well, especially towards the end when the Ferrari guy and Ken Miles were trying to make the corner turn, and it was intense, but that's just one scene. And then we have Best Adapted Screenplay. Now, we have the Irishman, Little Woman, Jojo Rabbit, Two Popes, Joker. I am giving it to Jojo Rabbit. Because Jojo Rabbit had been winning a lot of adapted screenplay awards. I think it's Jojo Rabbit. I think they're gonna give it to Jojo Rabbit. But I guess it would also be great if Little Woman wins. Yeah, Jojo Rabbit all the way. And for original screenplay, I'm really happy that Knives Out is nominated, but for sure it will not win. You may think that I'm rooting for Parasite, but I'm low-key rooting for Marriage Story as well. If they give it to 1917, I'm out, okay? The dialogues in 1917 is not great. It's not that good. The dialogues in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is great. They're fantastic. But the story isn't as strong. The strongest story in the five, of course, is Parasite. But as far as human emotions go, I think Marriage Story has a win. So I hope Marriage Story wins, even though I think Parasite is the better one. I mean, story is stronger, but I know that Parasite is going to win a bunch of other awards, so give Noah Baumbach an Oscar. That would be great. For Best Costume Design, we have The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Hollywood, and Little Woman. Again, really expected nominations. I think they're going to give it to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because, here's the thing. I don't think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood will get that many awards this year because 1917 will be getting all of them. It's going to crush Quentin Tarantino's ego, but at least they can get costume design, and to be honest, the costume design in Hollywood is pretty good as well. I guess, yeah. Joker getting a costume design nominee is probably solely because of Joker's costume. I mean, it's a good looking costume, but everyone else are wearing normal clothes in that movie. For Best Cinematography, now this is a category that I really care about because cinematography is interesting. And between The Irishman, 1917, Joker, Hollywood, and The Lighthouse, I am, of course, rooting for The Lighthouse. Jaron Blaschke. Come on. They only have one Oscar nomination. You have to give it to The Lighthouse. You have to give it to The Lighthouse. Again, it still pisses me off that the Oscars have totally neglected The Lighthouse, which is as great as Parasite, in my opinion. But I think the answer is really clear. I think they're going to give it to 1917. Roger Deakins is going to win once again. And I'm not going to be mad at that because the camera work in 1917, they're really well coordinated. And the long takes, they're all really impressive and really smooth as well. And the case of one DP winning 2 Oscars is not uncommon in the Oscars. I think Emmanuel Lubezki won Oscars for both Birdman and The Revenant, so I think Roger Deakins can do it, and Roger Deakins should do it because he is literally the best DP in the world. He deserves all the Oscars, but come on, just give The Lighthouse one. Come on. Animated feature film, I am rooting for I Lost My Body all the way because it is this is a really dumb category because there are movies here that are aimed for children. There are movies here that are aimed for, wider demographics. So they're in different tones and stuff. But yeah, I Lost My Body is easily the best one out of all 5. I didn't include it in my 19 year-end list. I'm dumb. I would be happy if How to Train Your Dragon wins, but of course they wouldn't. I think they're gonna give it to Toy Story 4, which is kind of disappointing because obviously 4 is not as good as 3, and not that Oscar worthy in my opinion. But yeah, I Lost My Body is clearly the best one. Now we have the acting categories, and there's nothing all that crazy and risky going on about the acting categories because they're really obvious already. They're really obvious. So for actress in a supporting role, Kathy Bates, Laura Dern, ScarJo, Florence Pugh, and Margot Robbie, they're gonna give it to Laura Dern because Laura Dern's been winning all the supporting actress awards in this award season, so they're gonna give it to Laura Dern. Is her performance great in Marriage Story? Yes, she's great. It would be a surprise if they give it to Florence Pugh though, because Florence is a breakthrough actress who suddenly popped into the Hollywood scene with Fighting With My Family, Midsommar, and then Black Widow movie, and then of course Little Woman. Yeah, Laura Dern. I would pick Laura Dern, and I think the Oscars would give it to Laura Dern. And I think Florence Pugh's performance in Midsommar is even better than in Little Woman, but I guess the Oscars don't know about Midsommar because A24 is weird. There are so many great A24 movies that the Oscars just decide to ignore. Like Midsommar, of course, you get Uncut Gems. Dude. Anyways, for supporting role, my pick is Willem Dafoe. He's not even nominated. I don't care. Willem Dafoe. But in this 5, I would go with probably Brad Pitt because he didn't win a single Oscar before. But he's an iconic actor, and of course the Oscar is going to give it to him, and he's going to give a hilarious speech, and I can't wait to hear that. So Brad Pitt. 4. Leading actress. Out of Cynthia Erivo, ScarJo, Saoirse, Charlize, and Renée Zellweger, it is Renée Zellweger. Again, simply because she's been winning all the leading actress awards in the latest award season, and she's the only actress in here who sings for a majority of the movie. I mean, of course, ScarJo sang a song at the end of Marriage Story, but of course, they're gonna give it to Renée Zellweger. And am I pissed? No, but to be honest, ScarJo's performance in Marriage Story is easily the best in her career yet. Up next, actor in a leading role. In between Antonio Banderas, Leo DiCap, Adam Driver, Joaquin Phoenix, and Jonathan Pryce, I am rooting for Joaquin Phoenix, and he's 100% winning it. 100%. Here's the thing with the leading actor categories lately is that the more noise that this actor gets, the more easily they're winning. So Rami Malek won last year, and I'm gonna be honest here, Rami Malek's performance in Bohemian Rhapsody is freaking awesome, and he deserves it. He didn't deserve to fall down the stage, but he deserves it. And they're gonna give it to Joaquin Phoenix, of course, and Joaquin Phoenix deserves it. But equally as deserving would be Adam Driver. But I think they're gonna give it to Joaquin. I'm gonna pick Joaquin. It's gonna be great. Everyone's gonna stand up and clap. I would replace Jonathan Pryce with Adam Sandler, to be honest. Now for Best Director, we got Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, Todd Phillips, Bong Joon-Ho, and Sam Mendes. I mean, all 5 of the directors here are good directors, and their directing in these movies are all great. I just hope that they would expand the directing category from 5 to 8, because we got Robert Eggers, Safdie brothers, Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach. So yeah, 9. Make this a 9. Make this a 10. And nominate Trey Edward Schultz. But I guess not. But my pick is nominated, and it is Bong Joon-ho. I would be very, 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 very disappointed if they give it to Sam Mendes. I mean, the coordination is fantastic in the movie, but I don't think it is as well directed as Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. So Bong Joon-ho needs to win. And yeah, sorry Quentin Tarantino, but you're not getting on the stage. Bong Joon-ho needs to win, and his translator Sharon Che is gonna be there as well, and it's gonna be great. All right, now the big award, the big winner, Best Picture. Ever since 2010, apparently they have expanded the Best Picture category to be 8 to 10 films apparently, but every year there are no 10 Best Picture nominees, which is dumb, okay? Which is dumb, because if there are 10, then The Lighthouse can be nominated. And honestly, yeah, The Lighthouse should be nominated. If I can, I would replace Little Women with Uncut Gems, or replace Ford vs. Ferrari with Uncut Gems. But you know, the nominees this year are pretty solid in my opinion. They're pretty great in my opinion. So I'm gonna rank them from what I think is the well, not worst, but least best. Okay, let's be a little positive here. To best. Starting off, we have Little Women, which I think production-wise is way better and way more ambitious than that of Lady Bird, given that it is a period piece, and I'm happy that it is a female-centered movie and it is nominated by the Oscars. But I'm gonna be honest here, the story, it's kind of boring. It's not really all that engaging, not really all that compelling, and it's another one of those coming-of-age stories that you don't really care for all that much. So, number 9, Little Woman. Number 8, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. While I don't think it's a terrible movie, it's actually a pretty good movie, not gonna lie. But this is easily Quentin Tarantino's most indulgent and most slow burn movie in his entire career. And hey, slow burn indulgent movies can be great, but in this case, the story, the narrative isn't as strong. Some characters are underutilized, even though the dialogues are great, and seeing these actors on screen, Leo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt together, they're iconic. But this movie is just not as memorable as I hoped it would be. And then at number 7, it would be Ford vs. Ferrari. Yes, it is a pretty wholesome story about friendship, and yeah, the pacing is not bad, but it's a pretty forgettable movie as well. It's a really safe movie, but yeah, it's still a really solid and cohesive movie with a story that I kinda care about. And then at number 6, it is it is Jojo Rabbit at number 6. Jojo Rabbit. Really wholesome and a heartwarming story. It's incredibly touching and emotional. It presents a brilliant idea of ideology versus reality. There are a lot of funny moments, but still, some characters are underutilized, and there are moments in this movie where the plot just jumps, and I kind of want to see what happens in between these jumps, but there were just jumps. And for number 5, it is honestly, after some thinking, this tough. This tough. I'm gonna say Joker. Now, originally in my year-end list, I ranked Joker super high, but after some thinking, I don't think it's that great anymore. Not that it's bad, but this story just didn't stick to my head all that much. There were some really powerful and amazing and goosebumps inducing scenes in Joker that I really enjoy. It's a really grim and beautiful and depressing character study, but still, it's not all that memorable. It's it doesn't have the punch and the power that I kind of hoped it would have. And for my number 4 place, it is The Irishman. Duh. I guess one problem I have with this movie is it's 3.5 hours long. It's time consuming, but the pacing, it's great in the movie. It doesn't feel like a slow, repetitive, tedious, slow burn. It's actually pretty great because the story that Martin Scorsese is working on in the movie is such a large story. Of course, it's going to be a huge movie. The performances are great. The stories, they are compelling. And there are comedic moments, there are serious moments. But at the end of the day, it feels more than just a mafia movie. You know, it's about life, and it's about lifestyles, attitudes, and it's a really great movie. It's a great movie. And my number 3 pick is going to 1917. Yes, it is great as well. It's really entertaining. I was on the edge of my seat for a majority of the movie. But not because the story is great. If you strip back all of the technical stuff about 1917, the story isn't really all that crazy. But the technical stuff in 1917 is phenomenal. Okay, of course you get the one shots, the one takes, and then we got the sets, the constantly changing sets. We never return to the same set again. The sound editing is great. The production is grandiose. It's ambitious, and yeah, I had fun watching 1917. It's an entertaining movie. Not gonna lie, and the ending, it's goosebumps inducing. It's intense. There are suspenseful moments, and I enjoy it. And my number 2 movie is Marriage Story, and I don't think the Academy will appreciate Marriage Story all that much because A, it's Netflix. B, it's not as technical, but it tells a very beautiful and emotional story about a divorce that even though I'm not married, but the way the story unravels makes me easy to understand, yet at the same time, it doesn't feel like a shallow movie at all. It actually runs very deep. It is incredibly humane, very powerful. There are scenes that actually made me tear up. The performances are stunning. They're stunning. And I think the pacing is fantastic. To everyone who thinks that Marriage Story is a slow burn, it's not. But my number 1 favorite movie in these nominees, it's Parasite. Ki Sang-chung, all the way. I just remembered that I forgot to talk about Best Director. Yeah. Parasite is easily the best movie of 2019. The pacing is perfect. Every single shot is necessary. The music is great, the editing is great, the cinematography is so amazing. Why is it not nominated? The compositions, the colors, the lighting, they're all fantastic. The acting, the cast ensemble, they have a lot of chemistry. They're really natural. The story with the twists and turns, the comment on the struggle between upper class and lower class. And if Parasite wins, it's going to be the first international film which wins Best Picture, which is historical, and I want to see that. And Bong Joon-Ho deserves it. Bong Joon-Ho had been making a lot of great movies, but they're never nominated for an Oscar until Parasite. So Parasite needs to win. So yeah, what are your Oscar predictions? Comments below, let me know. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want more. I'll be reacting to the Oscars live tomorrow morning. Yay!